Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the one and only hosting Cruz, bringing you another exciting edition of boxing. Don't forget to hit and to like, subscribe to my channel. It's always greatly appreciated. Stay tuned. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Hosting Cruz. And on the undercard of Angela Leo's title defense against Tomoki Kamita in what was a pretty good fight. They had a co-main event, solid co-main event. It was a rematch from a year ago between IBF champ, minimum weight division, Pedro Taduran out of the Philippines, 18-4, 1 draw, 13 knockouts. One of the hardest punchers in the minimum weight division today. Versus Ginjiro Shigeoka, one of the Shigeoka brothers. The former IBF champion of the world, 11-2, 9 KOs. Shigeoka, coming into this fight, was coming off a TKO loss to Taduran, where he lost his IBF title. So he was coming in to this fight looking for revenge, and not only looking for revenge, but looking to get his title back against the very dangerous Pedro Taduran, who's not only one of the best fighters in the weight class, man, but one of the best Filipino fighters we've seen in quite some time, man. This guy, he not only comes to fight, but he has power in both hands. He's strong. He can take a good shot. And that's why he was able to be so successful against Shigeoka in both fights. The first fight was one of the best fights you'll ever see at the minimum weight division, where both guys were nip and tuck for almost 10 rounds until the fight got stopped in the 9th round. But prior to getting stopped, man, these two guys were just going back and forth. Vicious exchanges. Both guys landing heavy blows on each other. It was just a fight of the year. It was a fight of the year candidate. And Pedro Taduran TKO'd Shigeoka in the 9th round. Until referee Willis came in and stopped the fight and saw enough. And then the rematch, which happened this past weekend, it was just as action-packed as the first. Now, there was less toe-to-toe in this fight in the rematch. Shigeoka came with a more tactical approach. He boxed more. He used a lot of energy in this fight. I mean, it just shows how great of in shape he was, what kind of condition he had for this fight to be moving so much. Now, it was not to the level of William Skull and Devin Haney. Those two are ridiculous, but it was a lot of movement though, regardless. But at the same time, it was movement, and also at the same time, staying in the pocket, in and out, staying in the pocket, out, staying in the pocket, out. So he was moving, but at the same time fighting. You know, he was not just moving and moving, trying to pot a jab, shoot a jab and out the way, like he's scared to fight. No, Shigeoka came with a smart strategy: hit and not get hit, and he would move and stay right. He would circle Taduran and land body shots, head shots, and out. Move. Get inside, land body shot, head shot. So it was like an in and out performance for Shigeoka, not out and stay out. No. While Taduran will pressure all night, very suffocating pressure, and land at will to the head, to the body, all 12 rounds, because the fight went decision, landing thudding blows. And it was another action-packed fight. Not as action-packed as the first fight, but still a solid fight. And the fight was a split decision in favor of Pedro Taduran. Close fight. So with that fight, of course, Pedro Taduran retains the title, and Shigeoka suffers his second loss back-to-back to the same fighter. Coming into the first fight, Pedro was already IBF champion, so when he defeated Shigeoka, he became a two-time IBF champion. Pedro now before I get into Pedro Shigeoka, after the fight, after he was announced the not the winner, he was rubbing his head, massaging it. I saw that he was massaging his head for a second, and he started to walk to the corner, and all of a sudden he sit down, and his body language started to change. He started to slouch and hang on in the corner of the ring on the stool, and one of his arms, his right hand, just hanging on the rope, and his head tilted. And even Kirsal Jury and Paul Malignaggi didn't like this. Caught on. Like, I don't like the looks on Shigeoka, and Shigeoka just from standing up on his own 2 feet to 1 minute going to the corner and collapsing. His corner had to pick him up and put him on the stretcher and carry him out. So Shigeoka was not able to walk out of the ring on his own 2 feet, which is not a good sign. Usually that's not a good sign, and it's not good. Shigeoka took some punishment in those 2 fights. A year ago they had the first fight. A year later, here we go again, another hard give and take against a strong puncher in Taduran. So those blows add up. Young fighter, 25 years old, Shigeoka, talented, former champion, one of the best in the weight class, and it's just unfortunate situation. I heard he went through surgery in his brain, and usually when a fighter goes through that process and they collapse and get stretchered out and go through brain surgery, that's hard to come back from. And usually they don't come back. Fighters don't come back. They either perish or they just retire. And Shigeoka, who had a bright future, 25 years old, already a world champion, um, explosive southpaw, and this was a battle of hard punching southpaws. Very unfortunate. We may not see Shigeoka in the ring again. I'll be surprised. Fighters in the past of boxing, man, have gone through that. Like I said, a lot don't make it, and the ones that do don't fight again. Sab Judah was one of those that was lucky. He suffered a brain injury, he got surgery, and he was able to recover like nothing happened. To this day, he has all his faculties intact. He speaks normal, he moves normal, and that's a blessing. Not everyone can go through that. Not everyone can recover like that. And Shigeoka, I hope he recovers, and because of the situation, I really hope he doesn't box again, unfortunately, because that's dangerous. When you go through that type of injury in boxing, and you have surgery and you're successful and you recover and you're good, that's a sign like, hey man, boxing is a dangerous sport. Look what just happened to you. You went through surgery, this and that. Most fighters don't make it when with those type of injuries, or let alone when they recover, they're not the same. You have your faculties intact. You've recovered, and you can still live a normal life. My advice to you is leave boxing, do something else with your life. So I hope Shigeoka has that in mind, man, and doesn't step back in the ring. And fighters like Shigeoka, fighters that suffer brain injuries, recovers after surgery, and are good, they should leave the sport alone, regardless of how much they want to go back in there and fight and stuff. If I was Shigeoka and I suffered that injury, had brain surgery and all that stuff, I would have taken that as a sign, like I would have taken that as a second chance at life, man, because I would have not probably come back from that, or if I recovered, I would have not been the same. It's a blessing to be the same after something like that. So if I was Shigeoka, I would have decided to do something else with my life. I'm young. I've been a world champion already. I did something that a lot of fighters can't do and haven't been able to do, and has become world champion. So It's very unfortunate, man, because it could have been worse. You know, Shigeoka had a close call. You know, he had a close call. Um, I think the last thing that I read on Shigeoka's situation that he had a successful surgery, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Pedro Duran, ladies and gentlemen, is man, he is gonna be a hard guy to beat. Oscar Collazo, the unified champion at 105 pounds, one of the best Puerto Rican fighters today, is he's gonna have a hard task to fight with Pedro Duran. Taduran. That's a tremendous, explosive banger, man. That's Cotto Pacquiao all over again. But we'll see what happens, man, because Oscar Collazo is supposed to fight soon. We don't know who, and the rumors are it's going to be against Melvin Jerusalem. So it's going to be a rematch between these two fighters, and it's going to be a unification. It's going to be a unification. Collazo defending the WBA and Ring Magazine, and Jerusalem defending the WBC minimum weight flyweight championship of the world. What's crazy is that these two guys, when they fought, Melvin was a champion, Collazo was a challenger. Now both guys coming into the rematch as champions. Interesting, intriguing. And of course, Jerusalem looking to come back in there and get back over Collazo. Let's see what happens. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Host and Cruz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys about boxing. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.